I don't believe in toting a gun, carrying a gun, and killing anybody. All right? But the Founding Fathers knew about corruption, and they knew about tyranny. And the reason the Second Amendment is there is to protect all the other rights. And until we consciously make the shift and change everybody else's perspective, I'm afraid, from my perspective, it's a necessary evil. But that's my perspective. Okay? I mean, America, you have done so much in such a short amount of time. But you have to understand that when you're a draconian or Orion belief system, there is no such thing as free will, as self-rule in their control. Now, the reason we've been able to get away with it for so long is because, when you look at where we are to the center of the galaxy, we're in the boonies. We're way out here. And they're just now starting to come around, and they realize that the magnetics of the planet, the consciousness of the planet, is starting to change. So this is what has attracted a lot of the races to us now. It was also the blasting of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons not only affect third density, but they affect fourth and fifth. It sends a shock wave through it. Okay? And we were totally irresponsible. We didn't know. We didn't know what we were doing. And that's why a lot of the races started to show up. I mean, they'd been here sooner, but that's when they really started to come in mass. Like, what the hell's going on down there? Next question. Again, I've only got pieces of the puzzle.
I've had a contact a number of years ago, and I know a lot of other people here have, and it was both very powerful and loving, and yet there was also some fear with that. Many of us are now thinking about how can we make contact that feels safe, evolving, loving. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to that?
I'm asked this a lot, and all I can suggest to you is this. You can literally be and create anything you want. If you want contact, then what I would suggest you do, and this is really the only suggestion I have, is you create the space for it. Now, if you're very comfortable going into the woods, going on a walk and sitting on a rock someplace where you're totally isolated, and you're there and you call them down, and that works for you, that's fine. Okay, if you want them to come visit you at your home and you set up a specific time and you make tea and you wait for them to come, that's another thing you can do. It's entirely up to you. Okay, but create the space. Show the intent to do it. And be in integrity with it. In other words, for that hour or 2 hours that you decide to create the space, do it all the time. Make it always 2 hours. Make it always 2.5 hours. Do it once every 2 weeks. Whatever you want. Whatever ritual you want to make it in order to create the space, then that's what you do. Okay? That's the only suggestion I have for you, wherever you went. Okay, next, please.
On your tapes, you talk about how if we have 10% consensus on the planet, it'll be enough to move us through the transition. And you also give an exercise that they taught you about seeing yourself inside out.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in more information about both of those. And in this talk tonight, you've spoken about transfers, and I'm not sure what those are. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Transfers?
When you first started speaking,
okay, let's go to your first question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was given an exercise. You guys probably all know this stuff already. But something that I was given specifically, which I do every day. And, they never give me answers about myself. And it really pisses me off sometimes. Because, we're looking for shortcuts. Let me face it, we're Earth humans. Okay? Anyway, the exercise was to get very, very quiet, get myself into a very humbled space. Sincere space is the word they use a lot. And it was literally to grab the balls of my feet and turn myself inside out, so that everything that's on the outside is now in, and everything on the inside is now out. And when you see yourself upside down, you see yourself strung out like this, very carefully detach yourself and look at who you are. Don't get scared. Just work with it. Okay? I mean, that's really the only exercise they've given me. I've had to develop my own things, and I'm still working with those. Next question.
I'm fascinated. First of all, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Living your life where you're living it. I'm fascinated with the language of geometry that I'm learning comes from deeper levels, and I'm wondering if you have, or there are exact renditions of those symbols that could contain, for example, a pi ratio or pi, or like I know the circles could be exact and they have a meaning. If they're a little off, they don't. Do you know if there are exact symbols that could have like the pi ratio in them, or you just drew them like?
Okay, that's a great question. I tell you what, I've never asked that question because it's always in my head. But what I will do is I will ask the specific dimensions and what tones and frequencies, and I will give them to Val Valerian so that he could put them on the web or get it to you guys. Okay? I will ask that.
You've referred to the Andrómeda educational system and their feeling about raising the children and putting the energy toward education. And you've made a few comments about weapons in general, and I understand the First Amendment issue is a little different. We're heading into dangerous times, and there's a lot of controversy among different people in the school here about weapons and what should be done. The Andrómeda feeling about mutual respect for everyone. Seems like a lot of the women that I know don't want to have anything to do with them no matter what, and a lot of the men I know are totally obsessed with them. What's the Andrómeda's feeling of our weapons and the part that they would play in the changes that are going to be happening?
Okay, it's a very good question. Not an easy one. They have said that and I said this earlier, that we destroy ourselves in ignorance. And I understand that weapons are not a good idea. I believe that. I really do. However, let's look at the reality that we're in. Okay? There have been many really holy spiritual men that have been murdered. Okay? They literally went to death holding unconditional love. And that's great. Okay? However, and this is my perspective, if somebody is coming in my front door to harm my family, I'm taking him out. And I'll make no bones about it. But they would have to be coming after my family. The Andromedans, they're not happy with our society, with any of it. But they realize we cannot defend ourselves. That's why and other groups are contemplating intervention, because we can't defend ourselves. And we do have a serious threat. And you can hold the space of love. I truly believe you can hold the space of love, but at the same time you can hold the space of sovereignty and defiance of tyranny. What good is total unconditional love when it's being total oppressed?
If we take that attitude, then don't we then create a situation where we have to come back and do it from the other side? Don't we just get right back involved in the whole cause and effect?
Well, it could be very possible. It could very well be possible. I really don't have an answer for that. You know, like I said, I've got my stuff and I'm working it out.